Welcome back to part 2 of my podcast takeover. If you're just joining us, I've handed over the podcast to my friend Sheila Wilkinson, lawyer and host of Managing Client Disputes and Building Your Joyful and Thriving Lawyer Life podcasts. Last episode, Sheila put me in the hot seat about trial consulting. Today, we're wrapping up with the good stuff. Why teaching lawyers to see their cases through fresh eyes changes everything, and Sheila's own revelations about what focus groups really reveal. And hint, it's not what most lawyers expect. Let's dive back in with Sheila at the helm.
What, at the end of the day, I mean, obviously you love focus groups. You scream it from the rooftops, and which is why I scream it from the rooftops, because I know that you scream it from the rooftops. Yeah. What would you say is like, forgive the generic question in this way, but like, what would you say is your why, right? Like how do you think you're different from other people who do focus groups? Because I mean, literally you open my eyes to this whole thing, that this exists, right? Besides the fact that you actually know what it means to litigate and take cases to trial, which I mean, I guess a lot of people don't know, right? Like, I think there's a lot of, especially transactional lawyers, like a lot of people don't necessarily know what it means to actually do the work to bring a case to trial. They, what is it? What's the statistic? It's like 98.7% of cases settle because people are like, we are not going through all that trouble. Well, if you've got 10 things that you're trying to deal with at trial, then yes. But if you only had one thing that you were bringing, or two things, or three things, like you were saying earlier, I don't know. I'm curious. So, like, what's your why? Like, why do you do this? Why do this and not something else?
And why not litigate anymore?
Look, I know why I don't litigate anymore. Like I said, I live on 2 continents. I can tell you stories, but I mean, getting a call at 4:00 on a Thursday saying you need to be in judge's chambers in 30 minutes when you're on another continent, that's not possible. But yeah, I mean, this is a question. Yeah. Why focus groups? But also maybe why focus groups and not litigating anymore? I think that's interesting. It's an interesting twist.
It's not really, my why is not really limited to focus groups. I think that what really drives me is teaching. And obviously it took a while I could see that in many forms of what I was doing. I love doing CLE speaking. Like, I really enjoyed teaching lawyers how to do focus groups and witness prep. And then, transitioning into this consultant role, and really wanting to give people, I want to give you the feedback to the focus group, but I also want you to see this case through another lens, through my lens. I love taking somebody's case and creating a PowerPoint with their documents, their photographs, and showing it to the focus group so they can see, like, whoa, like you've put this in a whole different perspective. And, there are times where I always give the PowerPoint over to the lawyers, always. I
love how you're like, I love making PowerPoints.
I do love making PowerPoints.
I had to mute myself.
Secret passion, love it. And like creating a timeline, like that's all. I love when we talk about it and then we plan, and then I can create something new, and then they get feedback on it, and then they get to take it. And so it creates a whole nother perspective. Like, oh, and like I'm teaching you how to communicate your case in that. So you're getting several different tools and lessons as we work together. And that's super fun. When I get to work with clients one-on-one and their lawyers, right? Teaching them how to listen, teaching them what questions to ask people to get a different set of information, and teaching that client how to be confident and tell their story, and teaching the lawyer at the same time how you do this whole thing, right? Like how to kind of shift that mind and those things. So I mean, my passion is really to give people from point A to point B, but I want to take you all the way to point C, because I want you to take away lessons and things you can use again. You don't need to come back to me again, right? Like
Yeah.
take all those things with you and use those things and grow as a lawyer. And that's, you know, I don't sit around and try to watch what other, people do, but I do know there are people out there where it is just 100% a transaction. They are a project manager.
Right.
You come to them, you put your money down, you show up, right? And they basically read a script or these people watch a video. Maybe you get to watch the focus group, maybe you don't. But I want lawyers to be intimately involved in what goes into it so they can see how we create the presentation, watching it all go down and then getting back together and helping them get on the right course of like what we heard, how to
Yeah.
interpret it, then like how to take the ball and run with it to that next step. And if we need to keep working together, great. But most of the time people say, this is awesome. This is great. Thank you so much. And they'll take it to that mediation and get that settlement they want.
Yeah. And you're bringing me back to what you said earlier too. You said like when we were talking about like, it's not just about providing a service, right? I mean, you didn't say this in these words, but it seems like you did kind of sort of allude to this. Like you don't want people like you want it to be a relationship with the clients and with in this focus group world and in your consulting relationships, because it seems to me that and this is to the point of, sort of earlier about, we were kind of dancing around the why, quote unquote, the why earlier, is that we actually care about making the profession better. Like we actually care about helping other people have good experiences when they're in the legal process, not necessarily including the lawyers, not just the people who are in the, who are the litigants, right? So that's interesting to me that you say it like this. So I think,
well, yeah, that's why I go and have a podcast where I talk about all this
right.
stuff. That's why I like to get on the stage and do CLEs. And that's why I give away free information, how you can
Right.
set up your own focus group, because I get it. I was in a place I could barely hire experts. Okay. Like I get it. So we were doing them in my office or, grabbing somebody's conference room because I knew how important it was to get the information. And so for other people to be able to do that, new lawyers coming out, or you just open your own office, like I wanted people to do that, to feel comfortable. And then, hey, awesome. When you get to the level where you can start hiring folks, like by all means do that.
Yeah. And I'm kind of the same way in that, like, I don't want people to need me. I don't like, that's not my business model either. Like, I don't want you to need me. I want you to want to hang out with me. I want you to want to bounce things off of me. And it seems like you're the same in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just, we I have lawyers that, that's what their preferred method is, and that's
Yeah.
okay. But most people, like, I get excited and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just went to this CLE. Let me tell you what I learned about it. Or,
Right.
hey, I've changed the way that I'm doing my PowerPoints. Let me share you with what I'm testing out. Like, and you guys, I don't mind sharing all that information. And
Right.
I'm a lifetime learner, and I hope that I attract like people who want to be
Right.
curious.
Right. Curious
like,
people, like you said
yeah.
earlier. Yeah. Who actually want to know why or what the actual issue is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to another podcast, another longtime lawyer, and he was like, there is no magic ball. There is no magical bean that gives us our, and I'm like, exactly. Like, so
Exactly.
yes, he took the words where I was like, that's right. There's no his magical bean. Like, I wish that there were. No, wait a second. No, I don't. Like, I'm glad that there's a variety and people can pick and choose and learn different ways. But I think as lawyers, we are generally always curious, but sometimes we're not. We just want that simple solution, and it's not that simple when we're dealing with juries.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So it seems like then the real value that we can get from working with you, from doing focus groups, especially, is certainty. Like it seems like experience and simplicity. Like I've heard all of these, you haven't said these words today, but this is what I'm taking, right? Like there's certainty. We've talked about this, but also you've done all of these. I mean, how many focus groups have you done? Like you've said like over 1,000, right? Like over 1,000 focus groups, right?
Yeah.
So it's, for me, I value knowledge, right? I value knowledge. I value experience. And so it also seems like then working with you means that you also get the added value, dare we say, the bonus of having all of this other experience, which then I think the way your brain works, which I love the way your brain works, is it like goes straight to the simplicity, straight to the streamlining, and like really like understanding the real possibilities of a case and what's probably going to happen. Yeah, I don't know. Would you say that that's, I mean, that's what it seems like to me, unless you've got something else, but just kind of hearing you speak all of these years and, just following along with you and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a excellent way of saying it.
Yeah. Yeah. She didn't put me up to that, y'all. So, okay. No, I mean, but this is, but these are the observations I've had just over the fast, I don't know. How long have we known each other for? How long have we known each other? I don't know.
2 years.
Has it only been 2 years? That seems wrong. Has it only been okay. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Feels like it's been a lifetime, Elizabeth.
What?
No.
Wait a second.
I feel like you were always I feel like we've always known each other, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously we haven't. So okay. I love all of this. I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions. So
true lawyer there.
Yeah.
True lawyer. I've got one more question.
Oh.
Heard that before.
Exactly. First, you probably get this question a lot, but what advice would you give another attorney, like a plaintiff's attorney, right? Like you're working with plaintiff's side, right? Not defense side, right? Like a plaintiff's attorney when they're trying to figure out whether they should do a focus group or whether they should try a focus group. Because I'm also thinking about the fact that if I had known that this existed, I would have absolutely tried it. But I know lots of lawyers who are like, that's not in my wheelhouse. That is not in my workflow. That is not something that I have the time or the energy for. That's not something that I can wrap my head around for it. So like, what would you tell them? Like when they're just trying to say, I don't know, should I do this? I don't know. Do I have time for this?
So the advice I typically give people if they're never done it before and there's a lot of trepidation for whatever reason, right? Time, money, what am I going to get out of this? I always tell people is there's going to be a case that comes along that has an unusual twist. Maybe it's an unusual twist of an injury. Maybe it's an unusual twist of how the facts happen or the defendant, something you've not seen before. And this may be just a little bit outside your wheelhouse. Like that would be a great place to use a focus group because as much as we love to rely on our experience, right? It's when we get a little bit of this twist. And that's most of the time when I see people come to me, like, this is one of our larger cases and it's got a little bit of a twist to it. Like maybe the injury is something unusual. And so they've got the experts, they got the treating physician, but they're like, we know there needs to be something a little more about how to describe this injury that's permanent and it's terrible, but you can't see it. Right. And I know TBI, people thinking that in their mind right now, but there are a lot of other injuries that are just like, they did what? How does that even happen? Right. So that would be a good one to come to. Or if you got like kind of a twist of liability, we're not really sure how to navigate it. Like, do we go like good cop, bad cop on this person? Do we, like a little bit of strategy wise on what jurors are thinking? So that's typically where I say that's a great place to start because it's outside your wheelhouse. It's a little twist, a little different, and that would be a great place to try a focus group.
I love that. Yeah, because just because you haven't seen it before doesn't mean that somebody else hasn't. And also,
well, that's the problem is most of the time when you get a twist, ring,
it's the first time,
or you're typing your email on the listserv to try and find, and you get nothing back. I've been there. Like that's one of the big reasons why I was just like, I've got this weird slip and fall. I get it's a slip and fall, but feels like there's a little twist here. Like, and that's where I would go to a focus group or, the other twists. Of course I love focus groups, so I did them all the time. But when I encounter people, I'm like, you probably there's nothing in the verdict database. No other lawyers got this, has seen this before. You've tried to make lists, taken colleagues to lunch to pick their brain, and it's still just a little bit escapes you or you're not getting the right answers. Go to a focus group, right? And they will be creative for you.
Yeah. They will figure it out for you. I mean, I guess, yeah, because they basically give you, I mean, I would think that they kind of give you the language and give you the sort of perspective, the lens in a way
The
that you wouldn't.
stories, yeah,
Yeah.
they'll take it in and try to reflect it back to you. And how we do that is through thinking of ourselves and our own stories. And those are
Right.
good analogies and ways to talk about your case.
Yeah. Mm, I love that. Okay. This is good. This is good. Hi, Elizabeth. Okay. Last question.
If
What
I were
is
on a desert island, no, I'm sorry.
what book would you know?
Oh
It's
no. Oh.
kind of no, you're like all of the books. I'll take all of the books, you know. I would bring my Kindle because it's got 3,000 books on it. Right, exactly. And a solar powered plug so that
Charger.
way.
There we
Yes,
go. Yeah.
exactly. That wasn't the question, but I love that question. But it's kind of like that. What is one thing that you can't live without and why? Say
Definitely
coffee.
be
No.
books. I mean, hands down. I know that sounds so like we're just talking about
No,
books.
no, no.
But yeah, definitely books. I mean, I have really started to reread my books. Like
Uh-huh.
instead of trying to gather up the next bestseller or the next, I've really tried to stop in the past this year and last year and reread the books and really try to study them. But what I also find is like I get a whole other level of
Right.
understanding. A sentence that I read, a couple years back and I reread, I'm like, whoa. So I really try to study the books that I have and take in a couple of new ones here and there. But yeah, books hands down.
Hmm. Okay. All right. That kind of ties in what you were saying earlier, like you're a lifelong learner, you're curious about things, you actually genuinely want to know. It's not like, you know, yeah, it's not I appreciate that you said this earlier too about like that you're not transactional. This isn't like you're gonna come, they're gonna pay the thing, they're gonna show up and everybody's gonna be like a robot. Like you actually care about figuring it out and not just I think also not putting it on other people to figure out, but just like facilitating the figuring out together of everybody. So yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. I love the way your brain works, but I've said that like 8 times already today. So, well, thank you for letting me take over your podcast.
No, thank you for taking over my podcast. I
Yeah.
really appreciate because there are things that I do constantly that are normal to me, like breathing, and it's hard for me to explain to other people that I do this and that it may be something that's helpful. It's like my template. It's like autopilot. So I appreciate you coming in to
Yeah.
ask questions and pull it out of my brain, and hopefully it will help everybody know just a little bit more about me.
Yeah. And understand you and how you work and what to expect and that it's not just us. I feel like this isn't a I don't know. I don't know yes, to that. And this isn't like a service in that way. I mean, like I feel like I said this kind of earlier, like it's a relationship. It's a partnership. Like you're all trying to get to the same to the best outcome, whatever that outcome might look like, whether we like it or not. And I think that there are a lot of people out there who are just taking people's money and wasting time and energy. And I don't, you don't do that. And I appreciate that about you. So we need more good lawyers, please.
Yes. Oh, yes. We definitely always need good lawyers. And I think again, it's you can go somewhere and you can get the information, the feedback, but a lot of times it's the next step. What do I do with that?
Right.
Okay, great. Now I know this thing and it plugs into my brain. And sometimes it just doesn't go anywhere else. And that kind of bums me out when people do that. Like it really bums me out when people it's going to get super personal.
No, I
When they
mean, go on,
I
tell me
want
more.
people, I want people, yeah, no, I want people to like, when I create something like the report, like, or I'll make a video to go with it. Like it kind of bums me out when people don't listen to it. Not because I'm thinking, oh, I'm not important, but more of like, there's nuggets in there.
Right.
So
Right.
I always want to make sure I am, like you said, you get the feedback, but then it's the next step of like,
Yeah.
oh, here are the 20 ways, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
that's really why I'm passionate about it. And, you said it's like, to me, it's always like being on a team because in trial, you got lots of team members, but everybody has a different skill and everybody has a different role and delegation. And so I love to think of like, I'm on your team here. Well, let's figure this out,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, and to the point that I said earlier, I feel like when people work with you, when lawyers work with you, they're getting not just a service in the moment, you're getting your experience and everything that you've seen and not, and everything you've learned and everything you've read and all of the things all of these years. And that's invaluable. And I feel like that's invaluable. I wish that I had somebody like you when I was litigating, because I had to do all the research, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Okay, we're going to stop talking. Thank you. I love you. Thanks for letting me take over your podcast. I'm very excited.
Thank you, Sheila. I really appreciate you. Love you.
Appreciate you.
This concludes our special 2-part podcast takeover series with Sheila Wilkinson. My sincere gratitude to Sheila for her masterful interviewing and for helping me articulate the deeper aspects of trial consulting work. If you'd like to learn more about Sheila and how she helps lawyers and professionals create authentic success, you can find her contact information in the show notes, along with links to her 2 podcasts, Managing Client Disputes and Building Your Joyful and Thriving Lawyer Life. I hope these conversations provided valuable insights into the consulting process and how I support trial lawyers in seeing their cases through the juror's eyes. I'll resume my regular bi-weekly programming in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. And again, thank you, Sheila, for this wonderful experience.